the counterparties were saying, look, we don't want this to be another wireframe POC we announce and then doesn't change anything internally. They actually have objectives to meet to develop things that are actually useful.
Today, we welcome Graham. He is the CEO and the co-founder of Archax. Graham, thank you so much for hopping on today.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Likewise. So let's just jump right into this, Graham. You had some big news that came out this week. Can you just tell us about this latest announcement that Archax put out with Lloyd's and Aberdeen Investments?
Yeah, sure. As you know, we've been around since 2018 with this belief that securities and every asset is moving on chain. And at the start of our existence, we kind of believed it, not sure everyone else did. But gradually along the way, more and more people are starting to see what we see. And we put tokenized money market funds on chain quite a long while ago, but the issue is we've been waiting for use cases. A lot of people say, well, why would I tokenize? What can I use them for? And one of the best use cases is using them as collateral. One institution owes another institution some margin or collateral for some purpose. What can they use to transfer? And they can use money market funds. So it was always a good use case. But what makes a difference now is that we've got one of the biggest banks in the UK, Lloyd's, one of the biggest asset managers in Aberdeen, both using our money market funds as collateral. So it's really quite a big deal in the UK.
Well, I always think of Lloyd's actually as an insurance company. I worked offshore for a really long time, and we always had Lloyd's Open Forum that was for things like salvage and all that kind of stuff. But they really do have their hands in everything. And, this is a great example. So can you talk about the actual execution and how that went with these tokenized bonds and using them as collateral for FX trading and how that actually went in practice?
Yeah, I guess we've been driven by the users, to be honest. Looking for a use case for these things where both parties can, make sure they fulfill their regulatory obligations, but be innovative at the same time. So it was a matter of finding the right transaction that took place between the parties as well. And, I can't really talk about who transacts with who, but they transact with each other, and one party owes another party money. In fact, it can go either way on a daily basis. So what's a bit different about this one is rather than just having a kind of POC in a test environment, this is actually live in production with real money satisfying real margin requirements. So we were appointed as custodian and counterparty by both of the institutions so that we could facilitate movements of assets between them. And when one had a margin call, they sent the tokens to another. Now, the way that our tokenization works is that we immobilize and hold the assets, and then we create tokens backed by those assets. So we took delivery of the securities, and then we created the tokens backed by those assets.
How did Hedera perform in all of this? I know that, it's actually a small piece of this entire puzzle, but this was all done on top of Hedera. How did that go?
Yeah, well, it went seamlessly. We already have the tokenization engine available. Actually, the product's called Nest. So we kind of had this idea that these assets are great, but really people want to be able to use these assets more widely. They want to be able to transfer them to each other. So we kind of created a product called Nest, whereby our clients can transfer things to other ones of our clients. So over time, obviously we hope to build that with institutions so they can transact with each other. And Nest is actually built on all of the chains that we support. So any of the funds on any of the products actually on any of the chains that we support can be used for Nest. And in this instance, the institutions chose to use Hedera. And it went perfectly, right? We created the tokens, they transacted in them. It was cheap, it was fast, it did everything that you kind of hoped that the Hedera network would do. So we've experimented on other chains as well, no problems on any of them, but in this case, they went for Hedera.
All right, that's awesome. So the next thing I want to kind of touch on is, where you are in your roadmap as far as using these kind of assets as collateral. Is this more of a test, or is all of the infrastructure in place for this initiative to continue and leverage and scale?
It is the first iteration, but we're using it in Ango. It wasn't just used for a one-off transaction and everyone's put it in the bin. There's a curiosity on all sides to try and make this work. So, from the outset, the counterparties were saying, look, we don't want this to be another wireframe POC we announce and then doesn't change anything internally. They actually have objectives to meet to develop things that are actually useful. So we've created an iteration. It's pretty good, but it's not perfect. And we're gradually going to integrate it into more of our systems to obviously make that as straight through as possible, so that when they send us a margin call, it pretty much automatically takes place. Whereas at the moment, there's bits and pieces in the middle that just need some work.
So I know this is going to take some guesswork, but how do you expect this to scale in the months and years to come?
So if we just go to both ends of that spectrum, I mean, save for a new technology coming along that replaces blockchain, at some point in the next 10 years, I think DLT blockchain technology will be used for every collateral transaction. I mean, it just makes sense that, we moved a high value of assets for probably less than a cent in a heartbeat, and you can do it 24/7, right? That doesn't exist anywhere else. So there are billions, if not trillions, of assets that are going to be transacted in this way in the coming years. In the short term, I expect what we'll see that I wouldn't say it's not commercially viable, but won't be as short-term commercially viable. So the people that get interested in it will be those that see the long-term vision and say, you know what, we need to adopt this early. So in Nest, we reached out to actually about 15, 20 institutions, something like that. They all wanted to take part. Some of them have been involved, some of them not so much, but I'm sure a lot of them now will be going, okay, let's see what we can do next. So, at one end of this extreme, you've got now you've got this kind of, let's call it initial transaction. In the future, you've got every transaction, and we're going to start walking along that curve. I reckon that in the next year, we'll definitely see double-digit millions of dollars go across the network, and hopefully it will scale more exponentially beyond that.
Very exciting. So, I mean, it only makes sense that first you tokenize these assets. And as you mentioned, that's been in place for a few years through Archax. Now you're using these assets for collateral. What do you think the next step is? What are the next low hanging fruit you're looking at for Archax?
It's all use cases, to be honest with you. I mean, we're quite interesting in that we do, both crypto and securities. So I kind of have two areas that interest me really. So the interplay between cryptocurrencies and securities, I think, is a fascinating one. So, just at a simple level, being able to buy Bitcoin with tokenized money market funds, rather than holding stable coins, earning yields right up until the moment you want exposure to crypto. I think that's interesting. ETP products as well. I think they're coming back into the UK. That's going to be interesting. But on the security and tokenization side, I think utility of RWAs or tokenized securities, that's going to be the thing. Saying, okay, well, what can I use it for? So we've got the collateral network now. That's great. We're going to be doing an announcement in about a month's time of another form of distributing asset that we're kind of working on. That's going to be pretty interesting. And then we're going to start to look at the traditional finance world and say what would be interesting to bring over to this world. So one of the things people talk about at the moment, 24/7 interplay between stable coins and money market funds. How can I send my money market fund in and get a stable coin back 24/7 rather than having to wait for the asset manager to process my redemption and receive money in my bank? Getting over some of these inefficiencies, they're the sorts of things that a lot of the people we're talking to about are interested in.
Well, one of the things that I love about Archax is guys don't just talk about this, you actually make it come to fruition. So we appreciate that. Now, you started there in the UK, but the last time we talked, you were talking about moving into the United States. I know you've taken the first few steps, but how are things going as far as Archax going international?
Yeah, so we bought a broker dealer in Europe last November, was it, or something like that? That's been going through change of control. We think we're nearly there. We hope we're nearly there. So we're going to have a presence in Spain and Europe pretty soon. We've already got the team there on the ground. In the US, we've got a broker dealer going through. Again, we have someone on the ground there. The US is a big place, right? It's got a lot of people in the space already, but it doesn't feel like it's a market that you can miss out on. So we just need to be there. But you need a lot of firepower to be operating in the UK, Europe, and the US. So we need to do some further fundraising of our own, keep pushing on all fronts, and start to move the team out. But we definitely, we've been doing it a long time. There's a lot of people moving to this space now, but we've got 7 years of tech, reg, knowledge, relationships that hopefully we're going to be able to leverage on.
Yeah, you're absolutely the tip of the spear here. We appreciate how much you've done on Hedera to this point. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you go?
So I guess look, it's an interesting time to be in the space. These spaces are converging. I think that there's a traditional world of regulated assets, lots of money, super inefficient, and then there's a digital world, super efficient, early stages, more dynamic, and those two words are converging. So what you're going to get is more money, more institutions, all being done more efficiently. So this kind of future world where these two places collide is going to be bigger than most people think. So I think those people, we're still super early. Those people that get in now and develop their knowledge are going to be in a very strong position in the next few years' time.
I couldn't agree more, Graham. Congratulations on everything that you've done to this point, but it seems like this is just the beginning. Again, thank you so much for building on Hedera, and good luck.
Thanks so much for your support. Appreciate it.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.